time.
After 2 whole weeks, we're free. Make our podcast grow. We are back, Hibiki Highspots, yet again, this time with my co-host from right here on the channel, Union Smack, Matt Tennant. What's going on, man? Welcome. We're not here to talk wrestling, though, are we?
No, we're not. For once, we're here to talk about something other than professional wrestling prowess. Doesn't it feel like a weight off the shoulders? Like we don't have to watch some 3-hour show that, 25% of it's good, and I can't do maths right now. Probably 75% of it is shitty, but it's just nice to do a nice movie that we both loved as kids, and we need to do more of these together.
Nice to do something different. After 2 years, this is the first non-wrestling thing we've ever done.
It is, and I would have found better words for that had I not been running on 18 hours awake now. So yeah.
Same here. We're both spent, but we are morphing just for you guys because we are talking on the heels of Power Rangers Month right here on the channel. Even though it's a little late, wanted to get this out as promised, as advertised. That's right. We're talking from 1995. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. The movie was a smash hit as a kid. I remember finding out about this in a video game magazine or a comic book or something the first time I ever saw this is coming out, and I was just, my head exploded. I was so excited.
Well, you weren't the only one. I think everyone who knows me knows I'm a massive Power Rangers fan / geek. So, and you know what? I can't remember the first time I found out it was coming out, but I think it might have been in a supermarket, where, they do the promotions on the boxes. Well, they used to anyway. Where you got a free toy inside.
Yeah.
I think that might have been it. And it was like Power Rangers the movie coming to cinemas such and such a date. It was like collect all of the Rangers. And I do remember looking on the back of one of them boxes and seeing the new rubbery outfits, which were meant to be metallic.
Yeah.
And thinking, yeah, that's my childhood made.
Do you remember? And then finally, we would see the theatrical trailer on commercials. Eventually, were you as excited for me because who was it? I think it was it Billy or Jason? Like their helmet, it had headlights now, like flashlights on the eyes of the Tyrannosaurus.
Yeah. Yes, and so did Aisha, the Yellow Ranger. I remember that in the movie.
Yeah.
Where they came on when it looked like an underground car park, but yeah. It was like, oh my god, they've upgraded these suits so much. And obviously when the movie, started and came on, and they had all this new high-tech stuff in the helmet and radar and stuff, and it was like, holy shit.
Who are they, fucking RoboCop now? You never saw that on the TV show. Like they never mentioned that once on the TV show, that like their helmets and their suits had powers like that or could do that stuff. And what was so funny, I thought it was so cool to see their helmets had lights now they could use. But in reality, in the movie, they were like the weakest goddamn flashlights. I don't know how they saw shit because they were just like dim and fucking.
Yeah, they didn't really light up anything, did they? It was just like 2 pinpricks in the dark.
We're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's go back here. Let's kick back, take it all in. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. Excuse me. Now, by far, Matt is much more refined a Power Rangers fan than me. I fell off about the time after this movie dropped. I never got into the Rangers again after this time period. Matt hung on. He's a diehard Power Rangers fan. Knows a lot more about Super Sentai than me because I don't know shit. And for anyone that doesn't know. This is actually, if you couldn't tell watching a regular episode of Power Rangers, they used tons of stock footage from the Super Sentai show in Japan and would just film the American shots here with the actors and actresses and just do this hybrid show and throw it in a blender. And that was a smash American kids show in the early 90s in a nutshell, man.
It was. And actually, the movie, because it fell in between filming of Series 2 It was released between series 2 and 3 of Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but it was actually filmed in the middle of filming season 2. So it was the first Mighty Morphin Power Rangers product that Saban created that never used any footage from Super Sentai.
You could totally tell too, and especially every fight scene in this movie felt like an American action movie.
Yeah.
Like a
Was it
Van
just me,
Damme or a Steven Seagal kung fu sequence or something. Nothing like an amazing Jackie Chan or Bruce Lee one.
Exactly, and I think, at least for me, it's like the fact that they didn't take the fight scenes from Super Sentai and recreated them like themselves. It took away from it for me. I didn't think the fight scenes in this were very good at all.
I agree. They just became to every other 90s action movie. And I think for kids who didn't know any better at that young of an age, aesthetically, visually, I think that is what a key factor and underrated reason what put it over the top and why kids went apeshit for it. Because all that stock footage from Japan was, let's say, it was for its time, it was amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it was. Even the Megazord battles were amazing. And as we'd see at the end of this movie, like, not so much when they tried to recreate them in America.
Yeah. Yeah. Even though either whether it was stock footage or American footage, they were all just giant commercials for the toys. Let's be real.
Oh yeah, but do you know what? Giant commercials that were worth every dime, dollar, penny, yen, whatever fucking currency they paid in.
I feel
Because them toys were I remember them toys being so sought after, like the Christmas after season 1 came out, and even today, it's like I'm still on the lookout for them as an adult to just collect them all again because I lost a lot. I lost so many Power Ranger toys when I was a kid. Like the arms broke off or the head snapped off, and now I'm an adult. I want to get them back.
Yeah, dude, I'm same way, but I collected more of the Ninja Turtles, the original line, and so many of those I had lost from my
Yeah,
childhood. And to see what that shit goes for today is heartbreaking, you know?
I know. It's like we could be sitting here millionaires, Travis, today.
Yeah, with better microphones and an actual studio to set up, and, who knows what could have been. Well, I will say, I feel like the two most Zords, like singular Zords on their own before they form into any kind of Megazord, were the Griffin and the Unicorn because they just look completely fucking useless. Their only purpose was to be legs. Like singularly, they did nothing. They just floated around in the air. Fucking
Yeah,
smoke. Ooh. That was it. And even like I remember the
yeah,
toy and Ninja
yeah,
Megazord, those two pieces, they just look like little two choo-choo train connectors or something.
yeah. They did. That Megazord, by the way, I know this isn't about the toys, and we could probably do another podcast on the toy line itself. But that Megazord, as a kid, was so hard to put together. Like it took me hours just to put the legs on it because I remember that the clips on the side just wouldn't go in.
I remember shout out to Mike the
Just I had
Slam
that little
Pig,
fact.
my original co-host on Slam Pigs podcast. Longtime listeners remember he had that toy when we were kids. He had the Ninja Megazord, and I never remember it being assembled once for that reason. I even tried to help him because I'm a couple years older than him and his kids, and we were both like, "Screw this, And it sucks because the Ninja
Exactly.
Megazord was so awesome looking, and I remember like we were so hyped to get to play with it.
Yeah. I mean, the Ninja Megazord, fine, but the original Megazord will always be by far the best Megazord ever. So out of all the 25 years, I know there's been some strong contenders. The Wild Force Megazord was very good, but the Mighty Morphin Megazord will always be head and tails above the rest.
The Super Sentai Jetman one's pretty cool. Where's just Jetman? I got to be honest.
I mean, yeah, but I think it's more maybe it's more nostalgia that that was the one of the first impressions of sort of robots and stuff you got as a kid. So I wasn't a massive like Transformers fan. So
Neither was I.
Power Rangers was just like, oh god, look, this massive fucking Zord made up of other smaller like little Zords and robots. It's like wow.
I
Do you know what? Every time I don't have the original Megazord yet, I do want to get it, but every time I see it on eBay or a picture of it on Google, the toy, it's like, oh, take me right back.
Same, I have that feeling too, dude. I had the original, the Technodrome, the whole shebang as a kid, and just to see
Yeah.
pictures of it now, I was like, man, it's so beautiful. Like, um, yeah, no, I was never into Transformers, ironically either. A little bit, I was into Voltron, but never like die hard. And the people always, that was always the claim with like older kids that, well, it's just a Voltron ripoff. Now, I get it. It is what it is. But with the diehards like you, does that piss you guys off when people say that?
I mean, not me personally. You know, people on Twitter obviously will get vexed with it and stuff, but for me, it's like, yeah, Power Rangers was ripped from Super Sentai, but it still has its own identity. You know, I've seen a lot of the Super Sentai episodes from Japan, and I don't understand them all, obviously, because they're in Japanese, but I think the cheesiness of Power Rangers sets it apart from, you know, whatever they do with Super Sentai.
Yeah. Yeah, and my God, that video you showed me of the original White Ranger, the very first one from Super Sentai, it just looked like a pimp.
How camp was he?
He's just a pimp.
The campest pimp you've ever seen.
He looks like he was a pimp with very good manners. Like he was a very nice pimp too. Like he would never smack you if you were late on the money. He would work with
Yeah.
you in pay increments with that pimp. Where are we? I feel like we should have just named this
Also,
episode just a general retrospective because I feel like we could just bullshit about Power Rangers for hours. But we gonna try to stay on track for you guys and focus on the movie. Even though I'm sure we're gonna go off the rails here in about 5 minutes or so. The movie, though, what's so funny about it? What looking back after we both watched this to prepare for this, what's so fucking hilarious and that was immediately too. You kind of took what I was going to say. That's the first thing I noticed as a kid. You're like, oh wow, rubber suits. They look even more badass now. The budget with the movie, the budget they had a hell of a lot to work with. But I feel like it was spent in the wrong places because this movie, for no fucking reason in the world, kicks off with skydiving. So there's where most of the budget went, probably to get all these people up there to go
yeah.
skydiving.
I mean, you're right. It's like the budget went on some special effects, but mostly location filming because this was obviously filmed in Sydney and Queensland, Australia. And you just feel like throughout the movie, it's like, oh, yeah, there's a big budget shot. The Ivan Ooze reveal, big budget shot. And then it gets to the end, the Megazord battle, and it's like, yeah, they've spent the budget already on that. It's like they didn't spend it on any special effects, like computer special effects, because it's so obvious.
Oh shit, it's already gone. Well, we got to finish it somehow. Yeah, totally. They were too busy worried about like overhead camera shots on like that construction site when all the parents were slaves or whatever, and just like bullshit shit that.
Yeah.
And but it's expensive to even breathe the air in Australia. I can imagine the price of filming a movie. Did you really have to go all the way to Sydney, Australia, to film Power Rangers? You couldn't have just done this in California and saved a few fucking bucks. Cut some fat off the budget,
Exactly.
maybe.
I mean, it's like the money you took to Australia to film it and had to pay the Australian, whatever it is, film board, commission, government, whatever, to let you film there, and then cart the actors over and the crew and fucking, you know, everything else. It's like you could have just recreated that jungle on set somewhere for half the price and put the other half into the Megazord battle at the end. And that, I'd have to say, Travis, this is a topic I'm probably not going to drop because I was so disappointed with that Megazord battle as a kid, and I still am 20 odd years later. Like, it's one of the actual worst Power Ranger Megazord battles I've ever seen.
And
Megazord is absolutely horrendous.
when Ivan Ooze becomes the final form, it's so. Even then, it was so bad looking. The CGI, just that giant ass weird insect robot body with his little raisin head just does not work at all. And I don't know what they were thinking.
Yeah, hideous, isn't it? It's just, he looks like half like a bumblebee with his fucking little head and brain sticking out, and he's just like, yeah, this is some of the most horrendous special effects you've ever produced, and it's a movie.
Even some of the costumes, like especially Ivan Ooze. Let's focus on Ivan Ooze. There's a picture for you guys right now. Knows that you've never seen the movie. It looks like Raisin Leslie Nielsen or something, right? Some old fucking man. The thing, even as a kid, his
Yeah,
chin, you could tell it was prosthetic. You just wanted to like pull the little twisty chin, like Stretch Armstrong, and see how far it would stretch before it broke. Because it looks like rubber. It's just
yeah.
terrible.
It does, and you know what? He's not the only one. It's like all the outfits in this movie, even the Power Ranger outfits, but more so the villain outfits, are a downgrade. I feel from the series.
Except
If you take Goldar, the series Goldar, and then the movie Goldar, it's like he's not only is he shrunk in size, the face looks more child friendly. He's just doesn't sit
when
well
his
with me
mouth
at all.
moves, like the animatronic or whatever the fuck it is, it's like Splinter in Turtles 3. Like it doesn't match the words at all. At all. You know who looks better in this movie than anybody else ever did in the series? Hands down looks badass is Lord Zedd. He is so shiny and metal and badass looking in this. And I wish they would have focused on him more.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this was the perfect opportunity. It's like you've got a movie budget, you can do so much more than you can in the series if you spend it in the right way. Make Lord Zedd like the big fucking baddie, the villain, the world dominator that he should have been in the series, because the series really screwed him up sort of halfway into season 2
Yeah.
when they got complaints that Lord Zedd had to be toned down because it was frightening kids and parents didn't agree with it. And it was just like, shit the bed with Lord Zedd there. Now's your chance to, really make something of him.
In a way, it's what happened to Shredder too in the Turtles movies. Kids were terrified of him in the first.
Yeah.
I think I don't know, man. If they would have, they blew their load so much in the series was so much. Like, do you remember that hour-long special, the debut, like the Lord Zedd saga that aired on like a Friday night, like prime time?
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember that.
That was amazing. I was so excited. Like, I remember my family let me record it and everything. But that was basically your Lord Zedd movie. Now, if they would have taken that little series, like hour-long special, and made that into the movie, it would have been probably way better than this.
Yeah. Yeah, instead he became the male Rita in the end, didn't he? Like, quite fast.
Oh, for
When, I
sure.
don't know, it's like, you could have got rid of Rita and just had Lord Zedd and Goldar like as the two main protagonists. And I will say, like, people probably listen to this go, Goldar, he was just it's like Goldar is one of my absolute favourite villains from anything in my 33 years of watching anything and everything. I don't know what it is about Goldar. I just love him.
Do you prefer your Goldar with or without wings?
I mean, he always had wings. He just never used them really in the series,
No, wait,
as
didn't
opposed to his
didn't
little.
I don't think he had wings until like Zedd came back and gave him his wings back because he got his wings taken away as a punishment, right, or something.
Do you know what? I'd have to look that up, but do you know what? You might be right, but I do remember him in season 2 with wings. Um, I'd have to say, I'd probably have to say with wings because I've still got the original Goldar action figure, and he looks like badass with the wings on the back of it.
It's kind of hard not to say wing because I feel like everything's usually better with wings. You add some wings to a character, he's pretty badass. Then you can't fuck with him.
Yeah, and he used them in several episodes. I remember there was one where he used them to blow the Rangers away. I can't.
I'm
I
glad you
really
finished
can't
that with
recall
the
when.
way, by the way.
Yeah, just used it to blow all the Rangers. I can't remember whether he used them to blow them back to the Island of Illusion. I'd have to go back and rewatch season 1, but yeah, he used them several times in the series. So, and tragically, like on the smaller budget, he used them better in the series than he did in the movie.
There you go.
So,
There it is. Bulk and
wasted
Skull.
opportunities.
Bulk and Skull also in this movie. Some other changes. throughout, between these seasons and the movie. Trini and Zach are nowhere to be gone. Was that due to complaints about the Yellow Ranger was an Asian and the Black Ranger was a black, and they were forced to change it? They basically just switched it, if you think about it.
Um, uh, so this is where Zach, Trini, and Jason left midway through season 2. They got Rocky, Adam, and Aisha in, but it wasn't due to like racial stereotypes or anything. Like the actors had generally had enough. There was disputes about pay. They weren't getting paid enough. There was no real health and safety on set, so they actually walked out midway through the filming of season 2, and they had to do their best to patch the shots with like getting stand-ins to film from behind and that, because they refused to come back and film the rest of season 2. They did film the power transfer to the new 3 Rangers, but Austin St. John, who played Jason, sorry, he did come out years later and say that he could have worked at McDonald's and earned just as much as he did working for Power Rangers.
Oh, bullshit. I don't buy that, especially unless they're getting screwed on the royalties, because my God, the amount of toys that were sold, I can only imagine. McDonald's, really?
They didn't get paid for reruns either. There was no union. I do remember reading a few years ago. They didn't belong like to an actors union, and they didn't have agents, so they got screwed on quite a lot of the money.
Austin St. John. Didn't he come back? He came back later on as the Gold Ranger, right? In another Ranger series.
Times he was. Let me see. He was the black. Whether you want to call it the Black or the Gold Ranger in Power Rangers Zeo, and then he came back to do an episode called Forever Red, which was a really good episode. If you've not seen that, Travis, I don't think you would have, because it was part of the. Let me think. I think it was part of the Wild Force series, and they brought back every Red Ranger, including Tommy, and Jason, and I don't think Rocky was there because
Thank
Jason
God.
and Rocky were the same suit.
Thank God. I'll say this right now. The actor that played Rocky is probably the worst one they ever got. You would think you would be encouraged by the director, and you could just tell by being a functioning normal human being, when you have the lines, "It's Morphin time," you're supposed to do it with some passion and excitement and rewrite it, be jacked up. Every time this motherfucker said it's Morphin, it was so like, "It's Morphin time." It was so weird when Rocky would say it, and he was a terrible actor, whoever the kid was, just in general.
Yeah.
Awful. It was never the same when Trini and Zach left. I think we can both agree too.
Oh yeah, and it was never the same when Jason left either.
Right,
Jason
yeah.
was my favourite Power Ranger ever. So I know Tommy was the White Ranger, and like he was, heartthrob, etc., etc. But Jason, I think, will always be the epitome of a Power Ranger for me.
They Vincent Mandust in one fell swoop. They took both the top talent. My favorite was the Black Ranger as a kid, so they took both our top guys in the territory raid.
Yep, that's it. Middle of season 2, gone. Bye-bye.
I don't know what it was about Zach that made him my favorite. For I think because the axe turned into a gun, I thought was amazing, and I just loved characters that danced when they fought, kind of like the Turtles,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I loved the episode where he did his like hip hop while he was fighting. It was just like, oh, duck a putty and do some splits. Yeah.
He was kind of like their Spider-Man too. Like he was always the one cracking jokes when he fought more than the others.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can agree with that.
Really, the movie, like we were saying, it's Ivan Ooze is the bad guy they chose to come up with for this, which was a mistake. It should have been just focused on Zedd and his origin and just maybe his planet and shit like that,
Yeah.
Really,
yeah.
This
is. I will say, if you've not seen it, there is a very good. Sorry to interrupt you there. There is a very good fan film, Travis, of Lord Zedd's origins. I can't remember what it's called, but I will find it and send you the title so you can look it up.
Now I'm excited. Now I'm excited. Did you ever wonder why, if Bulk and Skull hated the fucking Rangers so much, why they always hang out with them and go skydiving with them and just drink juices at the juice bar with them? Like, well, then why would they just be around and go somewhere else if they fucking didn't like them? It made no sense.
Yeah, agree with that.
Was there ever a series of
close,
Rangers,
like,
real quick, where Bulk and Skull were chosen to be Rangers for a special episode?
Oh God, I don't recall one. However, there was one Power Rangers in space where they sort of turned good, Bulk and Skull, and so that was the end of the characters then, because it was like you've seen Ben-Hur, right?
Right. The classic.
Yeah, it was. I think it's a Ben-Hur film. I'll be honest, I can't. But it was like the baddies had the entire city trapped, and they demanded to know who the Power Rangers were, or they'd kill everyone. And then Bulk and Skull stood up and said that they were the Power Rangers, and then everyone followed. And it was just like, yeah, you've just about killed them characters now.
I just thought it was always funny, though, that they would hang around. If they were too cool for these kids, then what the fuck? And they always seemed like they were in their 30s compared to these teenagers.
They were.
I didn't know, weren't they in high school,
fact,
too, in the series?
Yeah, they were. The guy who played Skull actually auditioned for the role of Billy, so that could have been quite a different series.
Wow. What is... Because we're going to run short on time. We're not going to get to every tidbit of this movie. What is the peak moment of this movie for you? The part that never gets old for you?
Good question. I think it's probably the first morph into the new. They call them metallic suits, but they're clearly rubber. You can see them bending and creasing. I think it's the first morph into the new suits. After that, it's like I didn't really like the Ninjetta stuff. It's like, what then Ninjetta suit's going to protect you against? Seriously, they're cloth. You know, I didn't mind the fight in the jungle. That was fine, even though they portrayed Kimberly as just this screaming damsel in distress.
Right.
I liked Ivan Ooze. I know you don't, but you know, he was an old English actor who I think the portrayal of Ivan Ooze in this movie, it was wonderfully over the top, but it was never as corny as it could have been, because I think I can't remember the name of the actor, but he delivered it for me brilliantly.
I think the peak moment for me, besides the part where he throws a dagger at his dick and he does a split, right? I actually, as a kid, I thought the Ninjetta suits were fucking awesome. I thought they were really cool. I thought probably my peak moment is when they finally got their Ninjetta Zords and stuff. I will say I do appreciate Amazon Lady, because I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but my God, she was smoking.
Dulcea.
Dulcim from Street Fighter. No, Dulcea. Yes. My goodness gracious.
Yeah.
And she looks like Katie Lee Burchill. I was thinking that while watching this.
Do you know what she does? While I was watching this back, I thought, yeah, could be her, but
could be.
Not.
Maybe it's her mom.
But yeah, hot. Oh God, stop it! Now you're ruining it.
But I will say this about the character. God, that was cheesy, and it was such an Obi-Wan Kenobi ripoff. Her, just the hood, and I don't know. I just didn't like. I felt like that she was unneeded. She was, and if you're gonna do something like that, where like a good, just I don't know, man. I just didn't like it.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it more when they brought the suit back in the series, but yeah. For me, the movie suffered from the whole part where they travelled to the planet to regain their power, and then first they had to be given the power of Ninjetta, and then it was like, what are you doing with it? This whole bit just feels like you're wasting time. It's like Ivan Ooze could have easily destroyed the Earth by now. By the time you fucked about in the jungle,
Right?
putting on cloth
This
suits.
whole journey over there on this planet seems like it took like 3 months.
Exactly. Can you imagine? He could have released Rita and Zedd from the snow globe that he put them in. You know, give Goldar some more power, and could have finished off the entire planet.
Did you like the cash in on remember Nickelodeon GAC? That craze, I mean, it's totally back now with slime videos and my kids love making slime, but back then, like Nickelodeon GAC, that's what Ivan Ooze used to brainwash all the fucking parents, or, you know, it's just so funny that there's just like a quick counterculture fucking cash in like that or something was tremendous.
Yeah. I love when he dressed up as the wizard as well, which is like this creepy old fucking uncle.
Oh, for the commercial.
Giving kids this slime. Yeah. I have to say, Travis, one of the most disappointing parts of this movie for me, apart from the Megazord battle, was Zordon.
Oh, we are in agreement on that. How do you downgrade from Zordon from the series? How do you go worse than that?
Thing is, it was the same voice actor. It was just a different face. It's like, you used the same voice, and then, they dubbed the English accent over, and then when the tube was broken and he's laying there like fucking Jabba the Hutt on a serious diet, with all this fucking bag of skin, just the head with an English accent. It's like, dear God.
And what was the deal with that weird blanket he was wrapped in? It looked, it's like a squid blanket or something. You know what I'm talking about? It was like gray and just.
And do you know what? I don't think anyone who has ever reviewed this movie, and I know there's been a couple of reviews of it on YouTube, etc. I don't think one of them have ever questioned like how he's gone from a head to having a sort of body. Where was that body when he was in the tube?
Dude, this scene for me rips off at least 3 movies. It rips off Star Wars with it's obviously the Darth Vader when he takes the helmet off. I feel like that's where they got that from. It rips off the Wizard of Oz, where Oz, this great and powerful wizard, was just this little guy behind a big screen where he was just a big head, right? It was just, Jesus Christ. This was piggybacked off so many movies over the years. Just nothing really felt original for it. The first half of this movie was like a really kick-ass episode of Power Rangers. The second, later half was kind of shit. Let's be real.
It was shit. It was, and you know what? They could have eradicated all of that, Travis. Made the Ninjetta stuff seem more important if they hadn't have shown you Zordon laying in his tube like an old man on life support, and just had Ivan Ooze destroy the command center, lose Zordon somewhere in the power grid, and then have the Rangers have to travel to the planet to find the power to bring Zordon back, not just to save his life, and just have this hideous-looking old man laying in the bottom of this fucking shattered tube, which looked more like crystals than broken glass.
Yeah. And those look like ripped off Superman movies. They look like Krypton backgrounds or something.
Yeah.
Just terrible. Just it's like they're, like we said at the top of the show, they're running low on the budget, so they just took a trip down to the vault in LA, in Hollywood, at the studio backlot, and like they just took all these props from other movies. They've just been sitting there. We can use this from Superman. Nobody will remember that shit. These kids aren't from that generation. Blah blah blah.
Exactly. And can someone tell me how they got away with using a different command center and then going back to it in the series, going back to the old one in the series?
Did they ever use their helmet lights again after the movie? I don't think they did.
No.
Bunch of bait and switch bullshit.
They went back to their normal suits, their normal series suits, and of course the Super Sentai helmets weren't equipped with lights, so they couldn't use it.
Yeah. Alpha was just as fucking annoying. I hated Alpha. The Jar Jar Binks of Power Rangers for me. Somehow they found a way to make Alpha even more fucking annoying in the movie. And his voice sounded different too, a little bit deeper. Like a scooch deeper.
Yeah. I'm surprised because it was the same voice actor, I believe. But however, Alpha did get more annoying. He stuck around for a bit. Power Rangers Turbo he stuck around in, Power Rangers in Space he left, that's when Zordon died, and then they brought back Alpha 7, which was voiced by the same actor as Alpha 5, and then for some reason it's like they did another version of Alpha, like really later on, and we're talking maybe 5-6 years ago, where he just sounds like a child. It's like they've obviously got a child actor to voice him, and he's more annoying than ever. He's like, I loved Alpha, but guys, you completely shit the bed with Alpha. You ruined him.
And well, was there anything to work with from the beginning? Because I feel like Alpha was always just a more annoying version of C-3PO, and I didn't know that was possible either. But somehow, there it is.
Yeah, I mean, Alpha didn't really do anything at all.
Maybe the
You know,
worst,
it's like
the worst catchphrase in the history of like kids shows too. Ay 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 ay! Jesus Christ! Shut up! It's so bad. It's up there with Urkel. I feel like Urkel was in that robot suit.
And you know, you said the Jar Jar Binks link there. Well, I don't know whether you've seen the remake, the 2017 movie.
Star Wars.
Than you could ever imagine. Like, from the look of him to how he like stretches like a spring on legs, it's just clearly ripped that.
See, I've heard so much divisive shit. No, I have not seen Power Rangers, but I've heard so much divisive shit. I've heard from certain people that it's fucking amazing. I've heard from, I'm guessing you don't like it.
I mean, I own it on DVD. Of course I do. What don't I own on DVD? But honestly, I've got shelves and bags of DVDs that I can't fit on shelves anymore. Like, it wouldn't surprise me what I found if I dug everything out. But the remake, parts of it were really good. Parts of it weren't really good. The suits, absolute shit. Like, even more so than the 1995 movie that we're reviewing here. I prefer the rubber / metallic look suits here than the new suits they've got in this, like, the 2017 movie, because they just look horrible.
I'm the same way. I feel like the new suits look like they were nice suits, but they started melting and then they hardened when they were like mid melted. Like they look like melted candles.
Yes, yeah. And do you know what? The newest series of Power Rangers, just going off track slightly, Beast Morphers. I've seen the suits. I've not seen the series yet because I can't get the channel it airs on over here, but it is coming to Netflix next week. So you know what I'll be doing with whatever spare time I get next week.
There you go.
But even the Beast Morpher suits hark back to the original Mighty Morphin Power Ranger suits. Even they're better than the 2017 like film remake ones. As far as the plot goes for the 2017 one, just quick, it's an origin story basically, so it takes forever, maybe like 55 minutes, an hour to see the actual Ranger suits, in all their glory. Goldar is absolutely terrible. Rita isn't bad. The Power Rangers themselves are annoying, like the actors. Just get them out.
They seem boring. Like they have no personality and no identity.
Yeah, you know what? The bloke who plays Jason in it is in Stranger Things, and he's much better in Stranger Things than he is in Power Rangers. But the only good part in it, Travis, and I don't want to spoil it too much in case you do watch it, is when the Megazord, not the Megazord, the Zords, like emerge from the cave. And yes, it is a cave underground. It's meant to be a crashed spaceship, but you can, clearly tell it's a cave underground. They emerge, and the only good bit out of that film for me, really, is where they play the original theme song as the Zords are charging across the desert.
There you have it. Maybe I'll have to watch. I mean, I'm sure I could do worse. I'm sure I could watch the newest Ghostbusters movie and be pissed off the whole time. But I feel like you can't really go wrong. There's there's at least something in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, that's either A, it's so bad it's good and you find the humor in it, or you just think it's awesome. I feel like it's definitely a must-see for any Power Rangers fan and anybody curious of the times of the 90s where they just seemed like any shit got released on film at the time. Any concept was a movie. And now we're at a time in 2019 while we're remaking a lot of these ridiculous concepts. Honestly, stuff like Power Rangers remakes, Ninja Turtles, Michael Bay movies, stuff like that, some things just you can't follow. And like especially when we talked about the cast just now in the newest Power Rangers movies, it could have been the best teen actors of today. There's no way they could live up to the original cast, hands down.
No.
And they would be expected to, and that would be why it would fail.
Yeah, you're always held to that standard. It's like the series is held in fond memories. As cheesy as it was, sometimes as repetitive as it was, and it was repetitive over 3 seasons, it's still held like in high regard in the hearts of many. And to try and remake stuff like that, it's an impossible feat. You could throw $1 billion budget at it, Travis, and you could not capture the magic and the nostalgia that the original series holds.
Exactly, and I feel like one of my fondest schoolyard moments is still, to this day, I can remember it like yesterday, the amount of hype in my class at the time on that episode where the White Ranger was going to be revealed that afternoon. Nobody could get home fast enough that day, and my God, what a moment that was in my childhood. Thank you, my friend, for checking out Power Rangers the movie with me. Capping off Power Rangers month, played some pretty kick-ass games, some shitty Power Rangers games, more times than not this month. And thank you, man, for doing something a little different finally. It only took 2 years, but we didn't have one peep about professional wrestling, Matt.
No, I know. And wasn't it nice? Wasn't it nice to just go back into our childhood and do something that wasn't wrestling? And do you know what we need to do next? Suburban Commando. I won't take no for an answer.
My God. So I'm already there. I'm already recording the show now in my head because, I love that movie. I feel like we got paroled this little break from wrestling, but it feels like we're free men.
Yeah. Do you know what? I was tired at the beginning of this, but now I just want to talk Power Rangers. So it's done some good all around, I think.
You can't go wrong when you hit the other and the nostalgia feels, man. Until then, one more time, where can everyone catch you? What you do?
You can find me on Twitter at @ThePerfectTennant. You can find me and Travis on this channel, Union Smack Podcast, Tennant Talks Podcast, the Union Smack Hall of Fame, which I'm sure Travis is recording right now. You can buy our merchandise at unionsmack.bigcartel.com, and you should hopefully be able to buy I know we're dipping back into wrestling, Travis, but you should be able to buy my NXT UK Year 1 book very, very shortly. I'm coming to the end of writing it. Cannot wait to get to the end of it and have a break. And that is it. That's all we have to haul.
There you have it. Until next time, man, I'll see you on Union Smack. So things get back to normal here. Also, as always, on Twitter at the Hibiki TMD, at ProWrestlingJournal.com. Catch me Pro Wrestling Journal Podcast. Check out the brand spanking new show, The Alternative, our weekly AEW recap show. And that little red button down below, hit it right now. What are you waiting for? Morph into action. That was lame, but either way, I went with it. This was Hibiki Highspots. Until next time, see you then.
Ay, 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 ay.